Hi, this is B.L. Luckman welcoming you to the Beyond Social Media Show on a special date, Sunday at noon, with David Erickson. And David is in Minneapolis, and you can find him online at estrategyblog.com, on Twitter at @DErickson, of course on Google+, and at the Beyond Social Media Show blog. You'll find me at What's Next on Twitter, what'snextblog.com, and maximum-plus.com for all things Google+. And it is our tradition to cover the best and the worst in digital media last week, tell you about some great new apps, and then have Dave close the show with some stats you need to know. The bad news of the week, in my opinion, geez, this is incredible. I think this really takes the cake. The town of Ferguson has hired a PR firm. It's not Burson Marsteller, which Rachel Madden described so correctly as Hell's PR firm. I don't want to name them. I don't want to give them publicity. But I just have to say that, in my opinion, the valor in life is what you walk away from. And representing this town in PR, I'm sorry, I know there are people who believe that everybody deserves representation. I'm not one of them. Go ahead, Dave, disagree with me.
Well, I mean, from a simple logistics point of view of handling press calls, you know, they have to do something. I got a deluge of inquiries from the media, and you know, what is happening in Ferguson, I think, is appalling, and you know, from a personal point of view, that's how I feel. But you know, I mean, how do you deal with the simple logistics of getting a deluge of media calls? If you don't have the staff, you need to hire somebody. So somebody's got to do the job.
I recused myself from things like that when I worked at Burson. I just can't, you know. Life's too short. I can't work for bad people. Okay, on a lighter note, Puma had a little hashtag problem in the past week. They had the hashtag Forever Faster, and some really rude things showed up on Twitter, where they still are, because what goes online stays online. And so things like cocaine makes you forever faster, and a lot of rather rude things that make you forever faster showed up in their Twitter stream. And, you know, could they prevent that? I don't know, but it did go wrong. It was kind of funny.
Yeah, I don't know how you... I mean, you sort of have to expect that type of thing will happen and decide whether that's a risk you want to take, you know, because there's no way to predict that. I mean, some things are predictable. We've covered a lot of that in the past, but in this case, I don't know. Yeah.
You know, it wasn't really predictable, if you ask me. But just so that you guys know, we're doing something today that we will be doing on a regular basis from here on. We're using Comment Tracker, which allows us to see your comments both in the YouTube stream, on the event page in Google+, and on Twitter, where you can use the hashtag BSMediaShow. If you use the hashtag BSMediaShow, we will be able to see your comments. For example, Scott Scowcroft. Hi, Scott says, "Phew, thought I'd be late. Nice to be in on the beginning." Well, the beginning was a bit of a disaster, but we got over it. So I had no idea that the show would start on Twitter. I don't know why I didn't know that. I guess that's because it never happened before. What's your bad news, Dave?
Let's see. Well, so it turns out that the massive cyber attack that felled Target, it wasn't just Target, it wasn't just SuperValue, it wasn't just UPS, the names that we know that have said that they were affected by this back-off malware. But more than 1,000 U.S. businesses were hit by this malware, and this is the point-of-sale malware that was installed on these businesses' point-of-sale systems. That scanned for basically credit card data and collected that. And it just seems to me this type of stuff is continuing to increase. These attacks are continuing to increase, and it is of grave concern because so much of our infrastructure is now built on online, And if you really want to terrorize America, rather than chopping off journalists' heads, attack. This is how you do it. You do cyber warfare, where you interrupt our financial systems. So this is something that is of grave concern, and I don't know what the solution is. It's beyond my technical capability, but it needs to be addressed. So.
Dave.
Yes.
Did you just say what I heard you say?
I don't know what you're talking about.
You just said that you just compared cyber crime to violence, like the murder of the journalist?
I did not. I said if you really want to terrorize America, bring down our financial systems, bring down our internet infrastructure. That's going to have more of an effect than the appalling scenes that we saw this past week.
I don't know. I'm so distressed with the whole way the world is going. I have a feeling that was the beginning of World War III. Okay, on a lighter note, my bad news is on a much lighter note. An agency tried to make Preroll on YouTube that would be unskippable. You know, because the first thing that you do when you see that ad come up is it goes, you can skip to the video in 3 seconds. You have your mouse on there. You're ready to just skip it without looking at the thing. It's pretty damn hard to get somebody to look at the pre-roll. So what they did was they took a puppy and they put jumper cables on it, and he said, "Watch this or the puppy dies." And that was so funny that I forgot to laugh.
Well, everybody skips those ads. Nobody wants to see those ads. So if you're going to do the ads, you do need to get whatever messages across in 5 seconds before people skip, right? So that should be your ad. Should be 5-second ads. I thought the way they did it was, whether you're going to electrocute an animal is questionable, but the way that they did it using the elements of the screen to incorporating that into the ad was fairly clever, I thought. So, and they apparently did have a rat.
I wouldn't have had as big a problem, but it was a puppy. You know, I'm sorry. You don't do that to puppies. Let's go on to. Do you have more bad news?
I do. This is speaking of animals. Gary Kiehne, I think is how you pronounce it. Kiehne. Conservative running for Congress in Arizona has a direct mail piece that was apparently not proofed because it features the candidate in the foreground with a conservative choice for Congress as the banner headline, and Kiehne is there talking, being a politician. But in the background is a farm scene with 2 horses, and one of the horses has a very obvious arousal problem. So maybe he was given the little blue pill or whatever, but this is from a candidate who once said that 99% of mass shootings are done by Democrats. So with intelligence like that running for Congress, I'm happy to lampoon this ad and make fun of him. So, there we go.
That's great. That's really great. And then there was another really awful one that you brought up, and yeah, I saw that as well.
Oh yeah, so I'm stealing a page from your book and PR Pitches from Hell, right? This is Gawker had this, a celebrity gift bag peddler who used Robin Williams' death as the opportunity for a PR pitch. This was sent to a Gawker reporter, and aside from, well, I'll read it, and then we can discuss a little bit more. But after the recent tragic death of Robin Williams, my partner and I realized how much the entertainment industry really needs healing. In 2014, we launched a project in which we have been giving gift bags full of organic vegan products, as well as healing services like massage, acupuncture, Reiki, etc. Robin Williams was one of the celebrities who received our gift bag in June 2014. Scott and I now realize even more than you never know what's going on behind the scenes and who might be in need of healing services, raw foods, yoga, meditation, etc. We recall the same thoughts as after Michael Jackson died. Going forward, we have decided to step deeper into our healing gifts and offer our healing services to the entertainment industry. We recently went to Jim Carrey's publicist office and did some healing work on her and the office, as well as Will Smith's assistants. We were very well received. Jim Carrey's publicist even wrote a testimonial to our website. For our future gift bags, we're going to include more healing services. So if you or anyone you know is in the healing arts industry and or has organic vegan products to share, please send them our way. Thank you. What?
Yeah, really. No, I got a couple of things that were pretty similar this week. We just have a quick question. Scott Silverstein is asking for the hashtag that we're using today. It's hashtag BSMediaShow. And that's in Twitter. Okay, let's go to good news, because there's some terrific news. I originally had the ALS Bucket Challenge at the beginning of the week in the worst news, because what I was seeing was people pouring ice over themselves and then saying, "What was that for?" and not including the link to the ALS site, and it was just sort of becoming a game, and it had gone viral already, but it wasn't including information about the disease. And I was quite personally affected by the disease when a very, very dear friend of mine named Judith Broadway died of it, and I can attest to the fact that it is a horrible, horrible thing to see and to, of course, to die of. But what became of this as the week went on is that it transcended politics. It transcended everything bad, and Bush challenged Clinton. The best one of all, I think, was the one where a young man who has ALS talked about what it's like and showed what's happening to his mother and asked people to get involved with it. And if there was ever a doubt about what this was, that was the end of it, and it's changed his life because he's been recognized, and it's changed the whole tenor of the ALS Foundation, because they've raised millions and millions of dollars for research, which will finally make it possible for Lou Gehrig's disease to have research, because it's considered a rare disease, but in fact it really isn't so rare. So many people have had it. So, I'm not quite sure how it started. There's been different stories about it, but it's extraordinary. Bill Gates did it. I mean, everybody's doing it. And your option is pour water over your head or send them money. I prefer to send them money, frankly. But what a wonderful, wonderful thing.
Yeah, I think I had the same feeling with you, BL, at the beginning. I don't see how this is really benefiting anyone except people are pouring water over their head. Okay, it's a thing. It's a thing. Until I saw that they're actually raising a lot of money out of it. So yeah, great example of a campaign to raise awareness and raise funds as well.
And the role that social media played in it. I mean, this could not have happened without Twitter, without Facebook, without Google+. This could not have happened without social media. And the other thing that I think is a pretty extraordinary thing that points to the role of social media is the role that Twitter has played in Ferguson. At the beginning, I don't know if he's still been doing it really, I haven't been following him, but Twitter's co-founder Jack Dorsey was marching in the protests and tweeting, and he's from St. Louis, he's not from Ferguson, but had it not been for Twitter, an awful lot of people would not have heard the truth and would not have seen what was happening. And there even was a tweet from some hateful jerk who said, Attorney General Holder's in St. Louis today, I should go in early and punch him in the nose for so many different reasons. He was almost immediately taken off of Twitter, but what goes online stays online. That was rare. I mean, I had a couple of pretty nasty things in my stream because I was tweeting in favor of the protesters, and so I blocked them goodbye. But there was an outpouring of real news and kindness, and a pretty remarkable showing that Twitter led. Twitter, in fact, was in advance of the news by minimally 2 hours at the beginning and all during the week. So pretty remarkable. And comment from Scott Scowcroft. the ALS phenomenon is amazing. I agree with that, Scott. It will be incredible to see how sociologists explain it. You know, why it hit such a chord. It's really hard to know.
Yeah, I think the Ferguson thing, not just Twitter though. Vice Media has been on the ground, and they're an up and coming media organization that's known for
live. They were streaming live, yeah.
And they've been streaming live video that really sort of provides a fuller context. You know, they captured tear gas canisters being thrown into the crowds of protesters. They've filmed conversations between off-duty officers and local residents, and given sort of an unadulterated view of the events on the ground. But it's, you know, when I'm sort of cynical about some of these things. So like after Trayvon Martin's murder, nothing really happened, but it seems to me that Ferguson is tailor-made event that will change minds, and it might prove to be sort of the water cannon version for the 2000s that the civil rights protests images saw in the 60s, where it starts to open people's eyes, because couple the Twitter reporting, Citizen Journal reporting through Twitter, the video streams you're seeing, the mainstream media reporting, and what's going on Facebook. So the people to whom you are connected on Facebook, who all my African American friends on Facebook are I'm seeing their thoughts in real time in reaction to what's going on, hearing their stories that you probably wouldn't have heard before this, right? And so it's hearing those personal stories that I think will change people's opinions and change people's minds about how some of our citizens are treated.
I think that's exactly right. It's the fact that there were personal stories, that they were in real time, that you would not have had access to the people who were telling them, that they were unedited, that they were there were so many that you could not ignore that this was what was really happening. And it was so compelling. I mean, the first night I couldn't go to sleep. I couldn't stop because there was so much information coming from there, and I kept looking to see, like, you know, where is it in mainstream media? And it wasn't, and it just wasn't. And it was live streamed, and it was very brave of people to be there the first night. You know, no two ways about that. And then as the week went on, I mean, the violence escalated. I think we're definitely going to hear a lot more from Officer Johnson. I mean, he's been an incredible calming force.
Yeah.
So, Dave, do you have more good news? Because I do.
Yeah, I'll get one quick one. So Recode is reporting that Twitter is working with payment startup Stripe to enable in-tweet commerce. So we've seen an example of, I've always been skeptical about social commerce until I saw the Amazon add-on to Twitter, where you could put something in your Amazon cart just by replying to a tweet that had a link to something on Amazon. And that worked so flawlessly that now I'm like, okay, I'll pay attention to this stuff. So Twitter's working with this company to enable buy buttons that let you purchase items directly from a tweet, enter your payment information, enter shipping information without leaving Twitter. I tend to think that would be a lot of things to do, but I'm fascinated to see how it plays out, because if Amazon can figure it out and make it easy, then it seems to me someone else can as well.
This is exactly why I have not sold my 10 shares of Twitter. Despite the fact that the stock hasn't done so well. But I think that ultimately, I believe that of the social networks, that Twitter is going to be long-standing, if only for its news value, because really in terms of the social value, it's lost it a long time ago, because there's so many people who are just curating, they call it, you know, repeating other people's content, and brands have taken it over to curate, and you know, you've got to use lists to find anybody who's saying anything original, which is what I do, by the way, when I want to see what's going on Twitter. But Twitter is a utility now, and once they figure out how they're going to make money with it, I think it'll be pretty remarkable. So there is a comment here that I was just looking at, and it just disappeared from Twitter. This is a little bit new for us, but Scott and Scott are talking about their coffee. Well, good to see you can have a conversation during the show. I personally am drinking Trader Joe's French roast. So I know Saturday is Catter Day on the internet, but I'm going to make Sunday Dog Day. You know, when you weren't here last week, Dave, I talked about dogs a lot. So there is a YouTube channel called the SloMo Guys, and a couple of years ago their 6-foot water balloon slow motion video has had, you know, their names are Gav and Dan, and they do all these funny things in slow motion. Some of them are rather gross, but most of them are funny. And what they did this 6-foot water balloon. It's had 60 million views, and it's basically a water balloon being filled up and then emptied in slow motion. It's actually quite beautiful. But what they have now is they have dogs in slow motion. They have the dog jumping up, dogs running, and in slow motion it's just a whole nother thing. So in 10 days that has had 1.5 million views, less than 10 days. And you know, their whole goal, they don't seem to have a business model, because their whole goal is it says we take on the world in slow motion. So I thought, well, SloMoGuys.com must have a website. No, it's a porn site.
That's the first thing you do is .com thyself, right?
But this is happening to some big brands. You know, Nestle, I believe it was Nestle, had a chocolate for women, and unfortunately that website was a porn site. You know, it is definitely one of the there's a big coffee conversation going on. Ray Hiltz is watching. Hi, Ray. And he says that many people who need their minds changed filter those very people who are commenting out of their social media streams. That's absolutely true, but when it gets abusive, I'm not there. I don't know if you meant me, Ray. But if you did, I don't routinely do that, but when they're abusive or when they're just nuts, they're gone.
No, I think he's. I mean, his point is well taken too. People don't like to have. A lot of people don't like to have conflicting ideas anymore, right? And so, you know, if you don't want, you know, it's easy to filter stuff out. I try to build in serendipity into my media consumption so that I come across stuff that, you know, that I wouldn't normally, but
I do as well, because I agree with that. You know, it's so easy online to just see people who agree with you, and pretty soon you really just don't know the other side, and you don't see it anymore. And especially the way that Google presents search results, unfortunately, has to do with what your friends are saying and what you've liked and what you've favorited, and so you tend only to see, you will see different results than someone with differing views will see. So you have to go out of your way, you know, to find different views, and I do, because my background is journalism, and I like to vet whatever source I have with 3 other sources, and not to pass on things without doing that. But the internet isn't made that way. Exactly. Are we ready for apps?
yeah, go at it.
I found one that I just am in love with called Interlude. And it's a interactive video software, and it gives you templates for storytelling and adding music and distribution. And there's one that's free, and you can use it to start. It's branded with their name, and if you want to take their name off it, like many free softwares. But you can make these interactive videos, and you get metrics, and they're automatically distributed to various social networks, and you can embed them in your blog and so on. So I highly recommend you take a look at the free version of Interlude. It's fascinating. Started by a guy who wanted to make music videos and wanted to be able to do them in a simple way. So I got pitched by them this week, and you know, I do like PR people to pitch me, especially when they have something good to say, and they know the name of my dog. That's how I know they're going to have something good to say. And I must tell you about something really important. A lot of people don't understand the ability to track the metrics in Google+. And there are a couple of extraordinary tools, but one of them that really, really is remarkable and that you really need to take a look at is called Circloscope. And they made a great new addition this week that integrates it with another form of Google Plus metrics and other social channel metrics, and that's called Node 3X. And with Circloscope, you are able to go to any post on Google Plus, and you are able to send that post directly to Circloscope, where you can look at the people who commented on that post, shared that post with others in their circles. If you're not already following those people, and those people are interested in something that you're also interested in, you can add them either to one of your existing circles or to a new circle. And it's a way to build your relationships with people who have interests that are similar to your own. I know I'm getting a little geeky here, but I think metrics, and Dave, I know, agrees with me, metrics are just absolutely critical because social media has to be measurable. Google Plus has become quite measurable using a number of new tools that have come along that are developed quite for this purpose. I highly, highly recommend that you take a look at both Circloscope and Node 3X, and we plan to have representatives from both of them on the show to show you more about both of them.
Very cool, very cool. So I have a new toy I've been playing with. I got a review copy of Sony Xperia Z2 tablet, and it's been very fun to. So Verizon gave me a copy to review, and it's been very fun to play around with it. It is. I've got an Apple iPad, and this thing is so thin. It is just lightweight and thin, and we're recording the show now, so I'll have some some behind-the-scenes footage. It's got a 10-inch HD display. It's thin. It's waterproof. So
Really?
Apparently, you can have it underwater for like 4 feet underwater for up to 30 minutes. I don't know why I would ever do that. I'm not going to take a glass device to the pool, so sort of clever. But the best thing about it though is I use it as content consumption device, obviously watching movies and stuff. But taking it to meetings and using it as a note-taking device and a research device, it's got super fast 4G internet. So that's the best thing. It's always on. So I used it going on the bus to and from work to read where I didn't have internet access before. So
you aren't using your Google Glass to read, huh?
No.
Really? So you're comparing this to iPad and you're liking it better, or you're liking it as much, or it's different?
I think it's different. I've got an iPad too, and I haven't felt a need to upgrade. And I think that's part of the tablet problem is people aren't feeling a compelling need to upgrade. But this one is much lighter, much thinner, much easier to use. So I like it just simply because it's just such a fun to use. It's so light and always on internet access. We've got a comment here.
Yeah, we do have a comment. We have a comment from Scott Silverstein who says Circloscope is a must for anybody who's active on Google+. And he said he's only been under the hood a couple of times. It's new, and they keep improving it, and really on a daily basis, adding new stuff to it. You really need to take a look. And there's another comment here from Scott. The Scots are watching, from Scott Scowcroft, and I'm sorry, wrong comment. And he's saying that going back to the idea of only seeing things that you agree with, that the 500-pound banana in the room is that pretty soon you just aren't going to see the other side, and we all have to make an effort to make sure that we're seeing them both. It's really important.
Yeah.
So also this week, there was a Vine update that lets you edit and combine YouTube videos with your Vines. Very cool. They added a new camera to it. So the artistic possibilities are great.
I haven't played with it yet, but I do plan on. I did update it, so I'll give that a twirl.
Scott wants to know if you can take that device in the shower. You and Robert Scoble.
Yeah, you can. I haven't, but it says it's waterproof. You can have it underwater, 4 or 5 feet underwater for 30 minutes. So, yeah.
Don't take a picture when you do it, Dave.
I'm not planning on doing that.
That brings us to the daily numbers.
Daily number. So this is a Forrester research. I recently was asked by a journalist to comment on this research, and it's compare your B2B content marketing maturity. So I thought I'd pass this along because it is sort of indicative of where content marketing is or is not. 51% of B2B marketing leaders rate their content marketing practices as very mature, but 85% fail to connect their content activity to business value. So when asked to look back at the past 12 months and rate the effectiveness of their content marketing efforts, only 14% of those surveyed gave content marketing or content practices high marks for delivering value back to the business. That seems to belie, seems to tell me that people don't have a good understanding of what successful content marketing looks like. So I expanded on the comments I gave the reporter and wrote a blog post for my company about 5 ways B2B marketers struggle with content marketing. I think this sort of are the challenges that companies are facing and why these numbers are what they are. Failure to properly measure their efforts, right? Just basic, go back from what you want to accomplish and figure out a way to measure that end to end. Failure to gain insights from analytics. So most companies don't have people who are trained to look at analytics all the time and understand what they're looking at. Failure to understand their target audiences. So most companies, when you ask them what their target audience is, they'll give you a demographic, a very short demographic, but they're not really fully understanding intimately who their target audiences are, so they can't understand what content is valuable to them, right? Failure to understand the customer's journey, too, so what paths along the way do people look for information before they get to the purchase, and then just the internal skills gap. All those 5 things point to they aren't set up. Most companies aren't set up for content marketing. They don't have the skills in-house, so they need to start building them or hire someone to do it for them.
I think that you're hitting on a really important point about content marketing. So much of it is, I always go back to the one sentence from Seth Godin, who said you can't just tell people what you want to tell them, you have to tell them what they want to know. And so much of what you see that is supposedly content marketing is in fact broadcasting of messages. And all you have to do is go back to the Clue Train Manifesto. There is and never has been a market for messages. People don't want to hear your messages anymore. That's just not what we're talking about on the internet. So if you have content to add, and there are so many companies that do it well. HubSpot comes to mind immediately, pumping out wonderful content on a regular basis that everybody can use. Circloscope is doing a pretty terrific job of it at the moment. Measuring what you have is critical. Otherwise, what do you know about the money you're spending, the time you're spending, who you're reaching? But it all starts with not knowing who you want to reach to begin with.
Yeah.
The world is not your oyster. So I think that brings us to the end of the show. You want to take it out, Dave?
I will. Everyone, you can go to right now BeyondSocialMediaShow.com/61 to get the links to everything that we talked about during this episode. That's live right now. And I am David Erickson, your co-host of Beyond Social Media. You can reach me on Twitter at @DErickson. On my blog is E-Strategy Blog, and I am joined here with BL. BL you can find on Twitter at What's Next. Her blog is what'snextblog.com. She writes for Ad Age and is the CEO of maximum-plus.com for all things Google+. So hit her up for that if you need the help.
Oh, wait, one thing I just have to say. This week on Wednesday at 1:30 with jurispage.com, I am presenting a webinar on how lawyers can use Google Plus Hangouts and how you can too. So I hope you'll join us. It's complimentary, absolutely free, no charge, 30 minutes. Hope to see you there.
Very good. Thanks.